Hey guys, what is up and welcome to another League of Legends video. In this one I'll be talking to you about the new Season 4 Mastery changes that are coming very soon. Currently it's on the PBE server. I want to talk to you guys about each of the trees and I'll try saying as much as I can but keeping it as short as I can, but there is a lot to talk about, so let's get started right away. First thing is to note that it's still the 30-point system. You know, there's still 4 points per tier to go to the next one, but the major thing is that there's no more Summoner Spell Mastery improvements. As you can see, they are gone. So let's start with the offensive tree. First thing is Feast. You know, you get for 1 point 2 HP and 1 mana when you kill a unit. Nice HP regen in the lane. Fury and Sorcery gives you 5% attack speed and CDR, which is slightly better than the current one because the current one is, I believe, 4% on both of them. Butcher is a little different now. It's 1 point for 2 damage instead of 2 points for 4, but it also applies to spells. Double-Edged Sword and Spell Weaving and Blade Weaving are all new. Double-Edged Sword gives you more damage for melee and range, but you take a bit more as well. Spell Weaving and Blade Weaving are quite the opposites of each other, but they give you, this one for example, gives you with each basic attack 1% increased spell damage for stacking up to 3 times. And this one, of course, is a little bit different because it's the opposite. This time it's spell damage increases your basic attack damage by 1%. So that's the differences there. Next thing I'll talk about is the Brute Force and Mental Force. The thing about these ones is that they both give you 2 less stats. So, you know, the new, currently it's 18 and 12, but it's also 1 less point to invest. And then you have the 2 things right under them, which gives you 5 AD or 8 AP. This one's also a little different. It gives you a bit less, it gives you more flat AD and AP for only 1 point instead of maybe putting 2, I think, for this and like 3 or 4 for this one, so it's a lot better now. Executioner is all the way here instead of down here, so you have to put 3 points to get the same effect that you got all the way down here, but it has something underneath it. Dangerous Game. Killing a champion restores 5% HP and mana. Pretty useful. Frenzy is pretty much the same thing, except now it's 5% attack speed for 3 seconds, stack up to 3 times, as opposed to now, which is 1 point still, but it's 10% attack speed for 2 seconds. So this is actually probably better. Warlord and Archmage give you, I got a few too much points spent in places. Let me reduce some points. These guys give you 5% each for your respective thing, whether it's AD or AP. Not too bad. Spell. This is our Arcane Blade, which is the exact same thing as the current one, Spellblade, I think, or something. Devastating Strikes. This is a pretty cool one. Now instead of having 2 different parts that give you AP and armor penetration, it's all in one, and it's both 6% for 3 points. And finally, you have Havoc, which used to be obviously around this area. For 1 point, you get 3% increased overall damage, which is pretty good. So the overall, this tree is a lot more thought out. It has a lot more scalability, and the 9-point option is a lot better, which is something I want to talk about quickly. One goal that they were trying to do with this tree is to have better 9-point options. So if you were, for example, going straight into defense tree for 21 points, the 9 points that you put into utility or offense are just better. They're better for the laning phase and they're just better laid out. For example, let's say you go in defense and you want some 9 points in here, you can go, I don't know, let's say you're laning top lane, you can get attack speed here. You can probably get this, you know, to get more sustain in lane, or if you really suck at last hitting, you can get this, I guess. That's more for casters, I think. Anyways, you can get this, and then you can maybe get, I don't know, 3 points in here and there, or if you're feeling like, you know, pretty some next level shit, you can go like that. I don't know. You know, it just, there's more options and there are better options as well. Defense tree. This one's a little different. Block is now at the very beginning, and it's 2 points for a bit worse of an effect instead of currently it's 1 point for 3 block damage. That's worse. And then you have Unyielding right underneath it, which gives you 1 point for the same effect for melee instead of 2 points, which it currently is, but range get reduced 1 damage instead of 2, which melee get. Recovery is pretty shit now, I think. It's 2 points for 2 HP per 5 seconds instead of the current 3 points, which is 1 extra point, big deal. But you get 6 HP per 5 seconds. That's a lot better. This one's pretty cool now. It's together, bonus armor and MR by 5%. I like that. That's nice. Tough skin is the same thing. Bladed armor, however, is completely different. Instead of giving back a flat 6 damage to the person that hits you, or rather minion that hits you in the jungle, it now makes them bleed for 1% of their current health each second. Pretty cool. Here's a really interesting one I want to talk to you guys about. So this one is for 4 points. You know, the current one is 5 points overall for both of these type of things, which the top one gives you 4 points for HP per level, while the bottom one is 1 point for flat HP. This one, for 4 points overall, you get 36 health and 3% maximum HP, while the old one is a bit worse, because the old one is 5 points for 6 HP per level and flat 30. This one has better flat a flat HP, and it has better scalability with the percentage. So I like that some more. Here's the new one. Reduces damage taken by 3% from people that are impaired, so like slow, snared, etc., etc. Pretty cool. So while you're assassinating someone, while you're chasing someone down, if they're trying to retaliate, you know, they won't do as much damage. Here's this hardiness and resistances, 5 HP, or rather 5 MR and 5 armor. It's a bit worse because now it's 6 armor for 3 points, so it's slightly worse, but I mean it's not a huge deal worse. Reinforced, I believe, is pretty much the same thing. Evasive is a little different. Actually, it's completely new, I think. So it reduces damage taken by 4% from AoE magic damage. Swiftness is a little different. It's 1 point for 10% reduced effectiveness of slow effects on you. Currently, it's 2 points for 15%, so this is probably better technically. Perseverance, this one's pretty cool. 3% HP missing, or percent of your missing health every 5 seconds. I like that one a lot. And this one's really good. Increases all sources of incoming healing by 10% when below 25% HP. That's a very, very interesting one. Tenacious. This one for 4 points. Let me just reduce some points here. Gives you 4 armor and 2 MR for each nearby champion, while the current one will give you, I believe, 1 point for you put 1 point into it, and it gives you 1 armor and MR for each enemy champion. This is probably better, I think. I don't know. I mean, it's better. I can't even talk right now. It's better in terms of scalability, but other than that, I don't know. You do have to invest 3 extra points into it. Runic Shield is pretty interesting. It's a new one as well. 50 HP shield when you have, whenever you spawn or start the game. I don't know. It's good early game, don't get me wrong, but late game, that's quite the useless one. No scalability in that whatsoever. That's just purely for laning phase, which I honestly think should have been up here somewhere instead. Since that's what their goal is, right? To make the top things a bit more laning phase oriented, while the bottom ones are things you get, you know, more scalability into, but whatever. And then finally, Legendary Guardian was the one that was up here currently, and reduces CC effects by 15% for 1 point instead of, I think, 3 they have to put in now. Again, defensive tree, a lot better for tanks that has more scalability other than this 31 right here. And I mean, overall, I think it's more interesting, don't you? Utility. Fleet of Foot. Where is Fleet of Foot? This is Fleet of Foot right here. It gives you 1.5% for 3 points. Currently, it's the same thing, but 2%. However, currently, it's out of combat only. This is just a flat, so that's pretty interesting. This is the same thing. This one is 3 per 5, whatever, nothing interesting about that, but this one is pretty cool. You gain HP regen equal to 10% of your mana regen, as opposed to before, where it's you get HP based on mana, or each 400 mana you have, or something like that. So I think it's 3 HP per 5 seconds for each 400 mana. So this is, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell which one's better. You kind of have to do the math on that one. Scout's a little different now. Instead of giving you 3 seconds of increased vision on the ward you place, you just have it in general increased range by 10% of placing down wards and using trinket items. That's probably better, I think. Summoner's Insight, pretty cool. You get, you know, 10% reduced summoner spells. You know, not bad. Pretty useful. Here's a pretty cool one. Summoned units and traps have 10% increased duration. Does not work on wards. It's a very, very cool one. Someone like Annie will probably like that one quite a lot. For Tibbers to last 10% longer. I like that. Here's a cool one. Alchemist. Duration of potions and elixirs lasts 10% extra. So that's another cool one. See, the thing about this one is that there's a lot of different types of preferences. So if you like elixirs, if you use them a lot, this is a good one to go into for, you know, for the 9 points. If you're like a caster middle, if you're Annie, this might be the one you want to go in. You know, there's a lot of more options. It's pretty cool. I like it. This one's pretty cool too. There's no more biscuit, as you can see. But HP pods are upgraded into biscuits that restore additional 20 HP and 10 mana. That's a pretty interesting one. This is the same thing. This one's the same thing as well. Greed is a little different now. Greed is 3 points for 1.5 gold every 10 seconds. Currently it's 4 points, but for 2 gold every 10 seconds. But now it also has this new thing over here, where one, or support, or whoever gets this, I guess technically, gets 1 gold each time an ally, gets a kill in a nearby lane on a minion. So that's good. As your ADC CSing and your support kind of chilling beside him, you'll get gold as well. I like that. That's a good way to make the support kind of, you know, be in the game a bit more. This one gives you 40 gold instead of 50, but only for 1 point. It's probably better. This one, it gives you 2% increased mana. Whatever. I don't know. Not that amazing, but it's pretty good. This one's really good. So now instead of getting the flat experience that you can get, which is I believe 4% currently, you can get just for 2 points plus 15 experience every 10 seconds while nearby an allied champion that's higher level than you, which is usually the case with the support and ADC in the bottom lane. So I like that one quite a bit, because as the ADC goes in wards, you know, support, or rather when support goes in wards, the ADC will be leveling a bit more, and then support will slowly fall back and all that stuff. You know, this will definitely kind of help that out a bit. Intelligence, this is pretty cool. You get 5% CDR in general, but you also get 10% reduced CDR on activated items. Currently, there's one that's 15% on activated items, but this one also gives you the 5% general cooldown reduction. So that's pretty good. Bandit's a little different now. Melee gets 15 gold on a kill or assist, so like a Nunu or, I don't know, Leona. And the range part is pretty much the same thing, rather than the melee getting 6 gold per auto attack or something, which never honestly realistically happens, since how often does a Nunu or Leona go up there and auto attack for the harass? I mean, that doesn't happen very often. And then Wanderer, which is the one that used to be up here, is now down here, which gives you 5% movement speed out of combat. So those are the new masteries, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I mean, I think overall they do look a lot better. I mean, the utility is a lot better for supports, for keeping up on levels and gold. And yeah, so overall I think they're a lot more thought out. I enjoyed them a lot more, and I really can't wait to start using them on the live server. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Tell me what you think, and I'll see you next time.